properly understood, this ascetic ideal, very big in Western religion too. Christianity has a rich history in asceticism, sleeping on nail beds, wearing hair shirts, starving, fasting yourself, and so forth. Medieval mystics went to incredible lengths of self-torture and bled just like this. And often in their thing, there's also the thought here of suppressing the flesh, putting the flesh down by tormenting it. But Paul says, properly understood, such things are acts of the flesh. This is nothing but fleshliness. This has nothing to do with the spirit whatsoever. Worthless. In fact, I think it's much more than worthless. Sinister. What kind of picture does this paint of God? What if God wanted, people, what sort of God would want people to torment their body, to practice harsh treatment of the body? What is this saying? I think to myself, and I've taught this passage before and had people come up and say, I think it's kind of arrogant to be making fun of these people's religion. This is their sincerely held religious belief. I think we should be putting it down. I'm sorry. I can't go with that. Here's why. What if my daughter came up, and knocked at my door, and I came out and she's like, "Dad, look." And, her arms are just running with blood. She just slashed herself with swords and knives. I did this for you. What about that? Think about it. What if that happened? There's her friend standing with her. You'd be like, what the hell? Right? What did you do to yourself? You've cut yourself all over and you think that I would want this? You think that would somehow please me, that you would cut your body? What do you think I am? A monster? And her friends may very well stand there and say, Dennis, she worked pretty hard on that. I think you should show a little more appreciation. I don't think so. No. All the worse that you worked hard on it. There's something I think kind of vile being projected here. A picture of God who has that power to bless, who has the ability to do the supernatural, but is clutching it, unwilling to give it out, has to be pried from his unwilling fingers through the cruelest self-sacrifice. And so finally he may be like, okay, hell, and throws out the blessing we seek. Not out of love at all. There is no love in any of this picture. That's really the missing piece, isn't it? There's a huge missing piece right there. Asceticism. This is really it's a sure mark of the religious mentality. And again, it's not just Baal worship. This whole passage is a critique of what we could call the religious mentality. Something that has afflicted even the guys in the Old Testament, practiced the same thing. God was always pulling his hair out sort of through the prophets saying, what are you thinking? Going through the motions. And what I am interested in is your heart. He says you go through all these rituals, you recite by rote all these memorized prayers and stuff like that. And he says, but your heart is far from me. There's nothing happening between you and me in your heart. You're just going through these outward motions of religion. And God says, it makes me sick. Please, he says, don't do it anymore. Well, they raved all afternoon until the time of the evening sacrifice. This is probably maybe 4 or so p.m. This has been going on for 7 hours of work. A grueling, desperate effort to get an answer. And we read, but still, there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention. Why? Why wouldn't anyone answer? Well, hopefully you know the answer to that. Folks, there's no such thing as Baal. Okay? It didn't matter what they did. They were never going to get an answer because there is no person like that. If we can believe anything that the Bible says, God says, I'm the only guy up here. Okay? There's just one God, and it's me. And so, it's not that they weren't sincere. It's that it's not enough to be sincere. They were sincere. They must have been sincere. 7 hours of work, including slashing yourself with knives and swords. Oh my God, if that's not sincerity, what is? These guys were sincere. I think they believed. The problem is, yes, it was a sincerely held belief, but also completely false. And that's a major problem. Just because they believed it didn't make it true. There is no such thing as Baal. A huge problem. Hardly anyone believes in Baal these days. I can't remember the last time I met a Baal worshiper. This whole mythology's passed out of use. No one believes in it anymore. Well, it's not up to a vote anyway. It doesn't matter what we believe. Our beliefs are not what the issue is here. The issue is what's really there. And in that case, we find that aside from having kind of a real twisted religious theology, an even more serious problem is that they have faith in an object that is non-existent.